All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our February 20th, 2024. We're both live and on Zoom, so it's 9:30, calling the meeting to order. So I'm going to start off with land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nation, which includes Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Osalay, and Georgina Island First Nations. The Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaties First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of the lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. With that, I'll move on to cell phones. Ask everyone to please turn your cell phones off or place them on vibrate so it doesn't disturb the meeting. And I'll remind council of declaration of consumer interest. If it arises, you can declare it now, or if anything pops up later and you need to declare it then. So we have minutes here from the regular council meeting of February 6th. If all is in order, I'll look for a motion to receive the minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb. Seconder. Councilor Clement. Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Martin, there's one amendment to the minutes on page 3 of the minutes, which is page 9 of the agenda package. The reserve bid for the zero turn mower was listed at 7,000. It's actually 9,000. So I'll correct that typo. And I want to thank Councilor Doherty for bringing that forward. Thank you.
Okay. All right then. So all in favor of the motion? Carried. And so the next item on here is a public meeting for zoning bylaw amendments. We have 4 zoning bylaw amendments, and I'm going to start off with just reading what this is all about and how it works, and I'll turn it over to staff. So this is a statutory meeting held under section 39. Oh, a motion to go into the zoning public meeting. Yeah, with that. Sorry. I did the land. So yeah. So, okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so we'll motion to go into the public meeting for zoning bylaw amendments. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councilor Doherty. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, so this is a statutory public meeting held under section 39 of the Planning Act. The owner applicant is Township of Havelock-Belmont. Oh, sorry, this is the other part of it. Any person may attend the public meeting and or make verbal or written representation, either in support or in opposition to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Please keep your video off and microphone muted during the meeting until I invite you for comments with regards to a planning matter. If a person or public body does not make oral submission at the public meeting or make written submission to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the council of the corporation of the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submission to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal, unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. If you wish to be notified of the passing of the zoning bylaw amendment, you must make a written request to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. So with that, the first zoning bylaw amendment is for Brownlee, and I'll turn it over to Alicia.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Great, thanks. Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties earlier, so just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Mayor Martin, and through you, yes, I will be presenting today for the Brownlee zoning bylaw amendment. So good morning, everybody. This application for zoning bylaw amendment is for property owners Chad Brownlee and Ashley Christie. The purpose and effect of this application is to present for the consideration and requisite approval of council an application to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 1995-42 as amended to permit a sleeping cabin inclusive of a bathroom in the second story of an accessory structure that is also going to function as a garage. The property is described as part lot 12, concession 5, and the roll number is 1531-010-003-25800. The property is municipally known as 124 Fire Route 30, and the property is in the Belmont ward and is on Belmont Lake. The property is 788 square meters, which is just under 0.2 acres, is zoned seasonal residential and is designated shoreline in the official plan. The applicant is proposing to include a sleeping cabin use within the second story of a previously approved 2-story accessory structure, which will function as a garage on the ground floor. The existing lot of record is quite small and constrained, and the applicant is seeking to utilize the previously approved accessory structure to support multiple uses. So currently, the zoning bylaw does not contemplate a sleeping cabin use within a separate or another accessory structure, nor does it permit a sleeping cabin to exceed 1 story in height, be larger than 29.7 square meters, or to include plumbing or sanitary facilities. Therefore, the applicant is requesting zoning permission to make efficient use of this previously approved garage to support both permitted accessory uses in a singular building envelope. The site is currently developed with a 1-story seasonal dwelling and associated decks. The cottage is served by an existing septic system, which is located behind the cottage on the opposite side of Belmont Lake, and no changes to the existing cottage are proposed as part of this application. The accessory building, which is the sort of sole purpose of the application today, is proposed to be 53.5 square meters in size, which is approximately 576 square feet for context. And the building is proposed to be 2 stories in height, being 6.4 meters to the mean level of the roof. The ground floor area will be used as a garage for storing vehicles and other items, just as any other garage would be, while the upper story will be dedicated to that sleeping cabin use, and that will also include a bathroom. The accessory structure is located behind the cottage and the septic system where they currently exist, so it's going to be outside of the 30-meter setback to the high water mark of Belmont Lake. And this is in keeping with the intention of the zoning provisions for sleeping cabins, because sleeping cabins aren't permitted to be within that front yard. So it is in the sort of acceptable location for where a sleeping cabin would be. The property, as I mentioned, it's an existing lot of record, but it's very undersized. And so the use of the permitted garage to accommodate a sleeping cabin use represents an efficient utilization of the site and those permitted structures. By including the sleeping cabin within the garage, there are a couple of changes that need to be included in the zoning bylaw amendment to accommodate for some of the minor changes to the garage, the previous garage structure, which will now accommodate both of those structures. So the lot coverage for accessory uses does remain compliant with the zoning bylaw, however, but through the new proposal, the increased overall lot coverage, it changes a little bit. So previously there was a permission through this previous minor variance that was approved on the site for the lot coverage overall to be 22%, where 15% is usually required. And now we're going to exceed that to 24% total. So just an increase in 2%. But again, the coverage for accessory structures itself is compliant with the zoning bylaw. Similarly, an amendment to permit the gross floor area of the accessory structure is also required in the sense that it has to be 75% of the main dwelling. Instead, we're going to be increasing that slightly to 82% as opposed to the required 75, and then the sort of intermittently permitted 80.4% that was permitted by the minor variance that was previously approved on this site. The amendment will also capture the increased height of and the increased footprint of the sleeping cabin use from the 29.7 square meters to 53.5, and for it to be 1 story in height to be on the 2nd story of the overall structure. And that is in line with the footprint and the height of the accessory structure itself. So following the review and assessment of this application within the context of the relevant land use planning policies, it is Township staff's opinion that the subject application conforms to the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the County of Peterborough official plan, the Township official plan, and it is consistent with the provincial policy statement. Public notice was posted on site and mailed to surrounding property owners in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. It is my and Township staff's conclusion and recommendation that this application be approved, and I am happy to answer any questions from council members or members of the public. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Alicia. Okay, so I'm going to start off asking, first it'll be 3 times opposed, followed by 3 times in favor, and then we'll take some questions. So for the first time, is there anybody opposed to this application? Second time, anybody opposed? Third time, anybody opposed? Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of the application? And Alicia, you don't have any other things to add there? And is the applicant on here?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the applicant was unable to attend the meeting today, to my knowledge. So they have, of course, submitted the application and indicated that they're otherwise they would have liked to be here, but no, it's just us today.
Okay, thank you. Second time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the application? Third time, anybody in favor? Okay, is there any questions from council? No questions? All right, we do have a recommendation here that subject to any new information, that the draft file will be passed as presented and that the balance of the report be received. So somebody want to move the recommendation?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconder. Councillor Flagler, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the next application here, and that's an application for John and Deborah Nurse. I'll turn it over to you.
Through to you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So the subject of my report is an application to amend the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen's comprehensive zoning bylaw. Sorry, I'm just going to change there we go. Comprehensive zoning bylaw 1995-42 as amended, and the applicants are John and Deborah Nurse. Their property is situated on Plan 16, Lot 358, having a municipal address of 23 King Street East, I should say, in the Village Ward. And the purpose and effect of this report is to present for the consideration and requisite approval of council an application to amend the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to change the zone category on the subject property for the northern wetland on the retained lot environmental protection zone. Both the severed and the retained parcels outside the EP zone will remain in the R1 residential zone. And these are mainly just conditions of consent application, B14-23. There are also certain site-specific regulations being amended as well. So the recommendation is that, subject to any new information received to or prior to the statutory public meeting, that the draft bylaw be passed. So just a little bit of a background on this. Consent application B14-23 was approved by the Land Division Committee on March 21st, 2023, and was subsequently approved as well prior through the Township's Council. The purpose of application B14-23 was to sever 23 King Street in order to create one new residential parcel. Both the severed and retained parcels do not require a zoning bylaw amendment, only the retained lot. And this is mainly, again, to satisfy the condition of the consent. So a description of the property and surrounding lands. The subject property comprises a total area of approximately 1.06 acres, together with approximately 47 meters of frontage along King Street East. The property is situated in the village of Havelock, and it's on, again, lot 358, Plan 16. The lot to be created and severed will consist of approximately 0.333 acres in area with 24 meters of frontage along King Street East. The lot will currently it is vacant, but it is anticipated that a residential structure will be constructed later on in the future in accordance with the R1s. No new development is being proposed currently on the retained lot, but it should be anticipated that a residential use will be permitted there. After a background study of all the land use planning documents, including the provincial policy statement, the growth plan, for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, the County of Peterborough's official plan, the township's official plan and the zoning bylaw, and following a review and assessment of this application within the context of the relevant land use planning policies and regulations, it is the township's planning opinion that the subject application conforms to all these documents, as well as the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Arya. All right, then, is there anybody wishing to speak or to speak opposed to this application? Second time, anybody opposed? Third time, anybody opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? I'm not sure if the applicant's here. Anybody wishing to speak in favor? Third time, anybody wishing to speak in favor? Okay, I'll turn it over to the committee. Any questions for Arya or comments? Pretty straightforward. So we do have a recommendation here. Moved by Councilor Doherty that we pass as presented and receive the ballot. Seconder, Councilor Clement. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so the next one here is for another timber stand. Sorry, I'll turn it over to you.
Through you, Mayor Martin and members of council, the subject of this report is the removal of a holding provision. The applicants are Miller Timber Sands or Tucker Cottage Services. The property is situated on the east half of lot 30, concession 10, fire route 87A in the Methuen ward, within the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen in the county of Peterborough. So the purpose and effect of this report is to assist council in proceeding. Here we are. The purpose of this report is to assist council in proceeding with the removal of a holding provision on the subject lands, provided requisite conditions have been met. The recommendation is that council proceed to enact a bylaw having the effect of removing the holding provision on the subject property. So just a little bit of background, just to refresh everyone's memories. On November 21st, 2023, Township Council passed a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the subject lands, which is up on the screen right here, from the rural zone to Special District 275 with a holding provision. This was done via bylaw 2023-074 at a council meeting of January 16, 2024. Council agreed to enter into a road agreement with the owners of the subject lands. Bylaw number 2023-074 incorporated a holding provision until corresponding conditions of council were satisfied. And that would include the registration of a road agreement being executed between the owners of the subject property and the municipality. And this is mainly to ensure that the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen will not be held liable for road maintenance and access to the subject property. So the road agreement, by way of an update, has been registered by the owner's solicitor, and it is registered on title. It is therefore appropriate for council to now proceed with the passing of the attached bylaw to remove the holding provision. The effect of this would just primarily be to maintain the Special District 275 zone as opposed to 275 with the H. And that concludes my report to council.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so is there anybody wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Second time, anybody in opposition? Third time, anybody in opposition? Anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? I don't know if the applicant's on here, but anybody wishing to speak in favor? Third time, anybody wishing to speak in favor? Okay, hearing none, I'll open it up to the committee. Any questions or comments for Arya? Seeing none, there is a recommendation there. Okay.
Last motion.
You're moving the recommendation.
I am.
So that's moved by Councillor Clement. Go to second. Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, and the final one here is for township housekeeping amendment. So go ahead, Harry.
Through to you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Yes, the subject of my report, zoning bylaw amendment for the comprehensive zoning bylaw, and it's more or less a general housekeeping amendment. And the purpose of it and effect of this report is to present for consideration and requisite approval of council to amend the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw, which would serve to introduce a number of housekeeping changes to the document. And the recommendation is that subject to any new information or public comments received prior to or at the statutory public meeting, which is today, council proceed to pass the draft bylaw as presented. Now, a lot of these amendments are just more or less cleaning up in the nature of cleaning up like typos, certain sections that were incorrect in the zoning bylaw. And by way of a background, township staff had previously presented council with a number of reports regarding the matter, which was essentially passed through resolutions, and staff are prepared to move forward with the proposed amendments in order to rectify these long-standing issues that have arisen as a result of the administration of the zoning bylaw. So as directed, a revised draft bylaw amendment has been prepared, which accompanies this report. A statutory public meeting has been set for today. Notice for the statutory public meeting has been circulated to all applicable agencies. It has been also posted on the township social media as well as website or social media outlets and website, as well as the local newsletters such as the Rail. I'll go through each one just slowly, just so that everyone kind of has a good understanding of like what's happening. So amendment number 1 is mainly to the definitions. There's 2 new definitions being added, one being settlement area as well as tandem parking. This is mainly to just implement certain changes that have been requested by the province as a result of Bill 23, which is referred to as the More Homes Built Faster Act of 2022. Additional minor alterations are also proposed to update the definitions of first story as well as swimming pool. Amendment number 2, this is to the accessory structures. Again, this is more or less just housekeeping in nature. There's some stuff that just needed cleaning up in this. So there's not really any major changes to this section. Amendment number 3 is to the legal non-complying buildings and structures. This amendment serves to allow property owners who have existing legal structures to redevelop to the existing footprint without the requirement of any planning approvals. And that would kind of cover amendment number 3. By the way, that is quite typical. I have canvassed the entire county and the different municipalities across the county, and it seems as if this is sort of it's standard practice across the county. Amendment number 4 is to the additional dwelling units. I guess this is considered the more major amendment, and the proposed amendments to this specific section serve to update the regulations of additional dwelling units in greater conformity, again, with the Bill 23, which is the More Home Built Faster Act. This act did receive royal assent, so certain changes that are implemented as a result of these amendments pretty much are non-negotiable, and that would be more or less for urban parcels of land. They are permitted to have 3 dwelling units on each lot. No regulation changes are proposed to lots that are not defined as urban parcels. For clarification, please review the amendments that's indicated. Amendment number 5 is to the high watermark setback, and this is more or less just a minor addition. That's if sewage systems within the high watermark setback have failed, that the reconstruction of the same system or the rectification of the system would be done without the requirement of planning approvals because it is a public health matter. So that's the new addition. Amendment number 6 is to the swimming pools section. Swimming pool section more or less was very convoluted and difficult to understand from a planning perspective. Therefore, an entirely new section utilizing the same elements was drafted just so that there's clear, concise language, just so that members of the public want to go over the zoning bylaw to see what they can do in terms of swimming pools. It'll be a little bit more clear for them. Section 7, amendment number 7 is to the yard encroachment, which is section 4.45. Again, another very minor change, allowing stairs and landings, which are accessibility features, to be permitted without the requirement of planning approvals in the high water mark setback. Amendment number 8 is to the rural zone, which is again typographical errors and specific sections being just updated. Amendment number 9 is to the estate residential zone. This is the entirety of the estate residential zone being removed. I believe of my 2 and however many months I've worked here, 2 years and 3 months, I would say. I've only come across 2 properties across the township that hold the estate residential zone. So I believe it would be better administrated if the estate residential zone was to be removed and replaced by the rural zone. Amendment number 10 is to the local commercial 1 zone, which essentially it's just again cleaning up that specific section of the zone to make it more concise and clear. There is a subsection where it says, a new subsection being added where an accessory dwelling unit is permitted within a portion of a commercial building. The following provisions shall apply. Number 1, no portion of any accessory dwelling unit shall be located below the 2nd story, so that the first story remains as commercial and the 2nd story be permitted to have residential use. And then certain size requirements for bachelor units, 1-bedroom suites, 2-bedroom suites. It's all clearly indicated there. Amendment number 11 is to the open space zone. Again, this is just typographical errors and updates being required, such as hunting lodge is becoming hunting camp. I think the intent was to have it as a hunting camp, but the language lodge had been placed in it. And also adding some regulations to hunt camp. Again, just more or less just cleaning up the zone. And finally, the reordering or the renumeration of the document, because certain sections are being added, a renumbering of the entire document is required. And that's it. That covers the entire housekeeping amendment that is proposed, and that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Arya. So is there anybody here wishing to speak opposed to the amendments? Second, anybody opposed? Third, anybody opposed? Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of these amendments? Second time, anybody wishing to speak in favor other than Arya? Third, anybody wishing to speak in favor? Okay, I'll open it up to council. Any questions or comments for Arya?
Sorry, Ari, just number 9 with the estate. Was that for the 2 places? Can you just give me the definition of what the estate was? Like, why is it called an estate?
Through you, Mayor Martin, to you, Councilor Clement. I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't understand it.
Okay.
It's mainly because the estate residential, after doing an analysis of the zoning bylaw, I tried to wrap my brain around why it existed.
Right.
I believe back in 1974, the estate residential zone had existed. So it was just a carry forward of an old zone. Maybe certain properties held it back once upon a time in the 70s, 80s, whatever. But so far, there's only 2 properties across the township that hold it. And I believe those properties should be afforded the same rights as their neighbors that are in the rural zone. The estate residential zone is more of a restricted zone as opposed to the rural zone. So its maintenance is pretty much redundant because we've never really seen the estate residential zone outside these 2 properties.
Okay. All right, other questions? Okay, the recommendation is here. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councilor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so that concludes the zoning bylaw amendments. I'll look for a motion to move out of the public meeting back into the regular meeting, moved by Councilor or Deputy Mayor Webb. Seconder, Councilor Doherty. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, so we're back in the public meeting, and I'm going to suggest, while the applicants are here, that we look at the bylaws here and maybe take care of them now before we move forward. Is that okay with everyone? So, okay, so first bylaw amendment here is zoning bylaw amendment 2024-014. Got the names with me, but Brownlee, yeah. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. And the next one is zoning bylaw amendment for nurse, 2024-015. Moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor? That's carried. And the third one here is for Miller Timber Sands, Becker Cottage Services, 2024-016. By Councillor Clement, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? And that's carried. And the final is the housekeeping amendment that Ari just spoke about. So if somebody wants to move that, moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor? And that's carried. That's it for those. So with that, we don't have any committee of adjustment today. We're just going to move right into planning. So the first item here is road allowance 390 Fire Road 87. So who's looking after that then? It's Arya. Okay, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is subject of this report is a bylaw to stop up and close and declare property surplus. Municipal road allowance of part lot 31 concession 8 with municipal address of 390 Fire Route 87. So the purpose of this report is to request for council to declare surplus and enact a bylaw at a future council meeting to stop up and close and convey the portion of road allowance bisecting the property having a municipal address, a civic address of 390 Fire Route 87 between lots 30 and 31, concession 8, and abutting Jack Lake in the Methuen ward. So the recommendation is that council declare the unopened road allowance bisecting property having civic address 390 Fire Route 87 as surplus. That council also pass the necessary bylaw to stop up and close, convey that portion of a road allowance between lots 30 and 31 concession 8 at a future open council session. Just as a refresher and background, at November 21st council open session, the following motion was passed, that council hereby declare in principle to the request from the property owners of the subject lot, a request to stop up and close and convey that portion of unopened road allowance bisecting the property. That staff is hereby directed to provide the applicants and property owners with the necessary requirements to fulfill the stopping up and closing of the road allowance. The necessary requirements were provided to the applicants as indicated in Appendix A. The applicant and owner has since provided the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen with an opinion of value and appraisal of lands, as well as a reference plan for the subject lot. The appraisal report was attached to this report, and staff requests authorization to commence the process to stop up and close and convey the portion of unopened road allowance. It should be noted that the subject lands will still require a zoning bylaw amendment, and upon the declaration of surplus, this will be communicated to the property owners directly from township staff. And I believe the neighboring property was through an exact similar process. This is just the continuation of that. And that concludes my report to council.
Okay, so is there any questions for Ari? It's one of those things we don't take closing up road allowances lightly, but this is one of those ones that kind of fits in because it's not accessible on either end anyways because of the water. The way these things work is that sometimes run right across the lake. But so anyways, this one here was pretty straightforward. What's council's thought?
Yep. I'll move the recommendation. And to your point, Mr. Mayor, I think that staff's investigated all the possible problems we may have moving forward with this. So thank you very much, Ari and Travis, for doing that. And Sonia, I guess, sorry.
So I do have a mover for the recommendation, seconded by Councillor Doherty. Any other questions? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda is for Travis with regards to request to purchase a road allowance on for 19 Fire Road 38. So go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So the purpose of this report is to seek council direction with respect to Mr. Gilbert's request to purchase a portion of the road allowance abutting the south side of property having the assessment roll number 1531-010-004-32800 and municipal address of 19 Fire Route 38. The request is for approximately 166.25 feet long and 33 feet wide of road allowance as shown in red hatching on the attached sketch of the sketch on the screen. And we provided two options for council in the recommendation. Option one would be to provide the applicant with approval in principle with the request to purchase a portion of unopened road allowance. And the second would be to deny the proposed purchase of unopened road allowance and have the owners enter into a license of occupation. And the reason that this came about was the owners would like to, we're looking to construct a new garage. You can see on the attached sketch. And in doing so, I met with our planning assistant and we had asked for a survey to show the setbacks to the rear yard, side yard, water yard, etc. In doing so, it was to the surprise of the owners as well that they did not own right out to the road known as Fire Route 38. So it's now shown that the garage and septic both encroach within that road allowance. And both those structures were permitted back in the 70s through building permits. We did meet on site with the Gilberts and went through other options, possible expansion on the cottage, attaching it there. There is topographical challenges and drainage issues as well that they have to deal with on that property. So asked for a couple of approximate measurements from the surveyor just to show that what was requested was accurate as well. So the distance from the rear property line to the road is approximately 32 feet and 32.8 feet. The total distance the garage encroaches on the road allowance is approximately 24.6 feet. And the sewage pipe, that's a best guess from Mr. Gilbert as to where that is located, is approximately 15.4 feet. Looking at it further, if council did opt to approve in principle and didn't want to give the full 33 feet to add an additional 4-foot setback to the garage, would result in selling about 28.5 feet of the road allowance. The request has been circulated and reviewed by the manager of public works, fire chief, supervisor of parks and rec and facilities, and as well as our planning assistant have reviewed it. So the options are provided for council, and the owners are also in attendance, and I believe Mr. Gilbert would like to speak to the matter as well.
Okay. So, and we can start off with Mr. Gilbert if you had any further comments.
Yes, please. Be brief. I know you've got a lot on your agenda, Mr. Mayor. Council. Thank you for this opportunity. Property Travis is speaking of has been in our family since 1947 when my parents and grandparents bought it. And through all our papers, we found that deed states the property is 170 feet wide by 125 feet deep, and considerably different from what we found out. On the property where they bought it was the original frame cottage, the well, and a frame garage. The survey done, as Travis said, we're building the new garage. We've been paying taxes on that, but we found out the property is considerably smaller than we thought. We've since canceled the idea of the new garage because of the topographical issues Travis is talking about. We'll probably eventually need to repair or rebuild the existing garage. Since we inherited the property in 2009, we put a lot of money, time, and effort into repairs and improvements, and did my parents before us. We have a home in Toronto, but we'd like to spend as much time here as we can because it's much more peaceful. Being over 70, we've been working to simplify our estate as much as possible, both for our future and for our sons. We want to tie up any loose ends as cleanly as possible so that ownership of this strip of land will not be a nuisance or bother to either the township or to us in the future. It is for this reason that we would very much like to buy this strip of land, which we have been maintaining as believing it belonged to us. We hope that you will agree that this is an easy and permanent solution for both the township and ourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Gilbert. Yeah, so, Travis, before I open up the council, the option 2 there, does that hinder anything like I've seen them before where they get, basically they're still using it, but it's not completely signed over to the property. It's just like a right of way type of thing. Is that what this option 2 would look like?
That's very, Mr. Mayor. That's correct. A license of occupation is very similar to an encroachment agreement. It could have a time frame permitted on there as well, like 10 years, 20 years, couple of years, whichever council chooses. That would allow them to be there, yes.
Okay, because there's a lot of stuff on that piece of property already, so I'll open up to council for further questions or comments with regards to this. It's always a tough one when you get these ones, so especially when, like I say, I think that said the well and everything is on that property. Is that right?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, the well, septic and garage, and there would be a concern if that septic ever has to be replaced. To move it up onto their property may mean they would only be permitted a class 5 systems to holding tank. So
okay.
It may not fit up there, I'm not sure.
Okay. Any questions? There's 2 options here. What's council's thoughts?
Through you, Mayor Martin, this family's been looking after this property since a long time. I personally would like to go with option 1. That's my recommendation.
Okay, so staff has been in there, the fire chief has been in there, and I'm familiar with the road. It's I didn't realize it was I realized it was narrow there, but I didn't realize it was a road allowance even. So I just thought it was a private road and that's the way it was. So okay, so any other questions or comments? Did you want to make that motion and see where it goes?
I'll make a motion, we accept option 1.
Okay. All right, so we have a mover for option 1 and a seconder, Councillor Doherty. Okay. Any other questions or comments around the motion? All in favor of the motion? Okay, it's carried, so. Okay, so thank you very much, and with that, we'll move on then. Thanks, Travis. Okay. Next item here is delegation. Bill Reed's back for delegation. So welcome, Bill. With regards to the quotations on the level 3rd for Sandy Lake Road.
Morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Staff, thank you very much for your time today. I was at the last council meeting and obviously didn't understand and realize that I need to put a delegation forward to speak. So I appreciate your time. I just wanted to follow up with the email that I sent out to a few of the councillors and the mayor on January 14th, and I apologize to the deputy mayor and Councillor Flagler with respect to not forwarding that email directly to you as well. It is, and we wanted to talk about the maintenance of the Sandy Lake Road, specifically under the bylaw for the limited road maintenance, winter road maintenance. But also, it was brought up that you wanted to look at the general roads needs study, and I've looked at that, so I'd like to just make a couple of comments on that. I'm sure you've done your research. There's a lot of residents that have been traveling that road for over 50 years, and they've seen it go from a county road to a township road and watched it diminish. And that small portion of the road that was discussed between the Twin Lakes entrance to the Tangamong, the winter maintenance needs to get done on a regular basis of snow removal with sanding and salting, and the summer maintenance as well. So our concern was that, as we've talked about, times have changed. People are spending more time at their seasonal residence. Instead of a 2-day weekend, they're spending 5 days, Thursday to Tuesday. going to work after that, or maybe working from their cottage. There are full-time residents that live on both sides of the lake. I mean, not a lot of them, but there are. I'm hearing that more people are wanting to possibly move there full-time, to reduce their travel or get to a nice quieter spot to work. So in the review of the photos that I sent, basically, I mean, it's a bad year to pick for snow removal. But it was just basically showing the condition of the road, from the first three photos show the different spots between the north end to Tangamon, and then the last two photos are showing the turnaround at Tangamon and then the road towards the Twin Lakes. So you can see in the pictures that there's quite a difference in the way the road looks at the same time of the year. That road between Tangamon and 46 is quite wide, snow removal, and it's quite hard surfaced, where the rest of the road between that and the north end, which is about 7.4 kilometers, is a little different texture as far as the road surface. We're not looking to change the class of the road. What we really are looking for is to change the class of maintenance, and maybe having the bylaw amended to change Sandy Lake Road from a limited maintenance road to a regular maintenance road. And that's really what we're on up there. When I reviewed the needs study, and of course it is a recommendation by a third party. Sandy Lake Road was, as I've seen it, the rating was 53 out of 100 as far as the rating for the structure and the road as itself. In the appendixes, as it goes through, is the appendix for improvement. It was listed as 28th on the list for improvements, and under Appendix D, Sandy Lake Road was 18th in rehabilitation as far as the list of roads that were recommended for rehabilitation. And out of just the gravel roads, it was listed as 6 of 9 of the gravel roads that required a now approach to rehabilitation, and the rest of the roads were a 1 to 5 year plan. And again, we understand that's a recommendation, and it's up to council and, you know, budgetary issues to decide what is a priority through the roads department and so forth. But as a body that moved up and down that road, the rating for the road for traffic, I don't understand how they get that rating of 59 cars. Because they probably have one of those 59 cars on one day, and maybe every day of the weekend, or several days during the week. So I guess in closing, we'd like to, again, not ask about changing the class of the road, because we understand the financial implications of changing it from a class 6 road to a class 5 road is quite substantial. But maintaining the 6th class and giving it a class 5 maintenance schedule, we think would suffice for us to have better service for the road, to allow for the winter access and the maintenance to the road and so forth. And we look forward to your review of that and our submission to amend the bylaw for the limited maintenance schedule for winter, and look at possibly changing the classification of the maintenance. Which we understand is the last council meeting, there was an indication that they have 6 class 6 roads that do get maintained as class 5, and that's all we're asking for.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for your time.
So, yeah, so we do work from the minimum maintenance thing that we do every 5 years. And a lot has changed in the last 5 years, probably more than normally. They're pretty well status quo, but in the last 5 years, we've seen a lot of changes in where people are living, and you know, it's going to make a huge difference, I'm sure, on the next round here. And I'm sure the minimum, Peter's here today, our roads manager, but it'll be starting probably this year as far as like, it's quite a process that they go through. Because it was for 2025 is the next renewal. That being said, that's next year that a lot of the work will be happening to reevaluate all of our roads. So if Peter wants to add to this, the part about the class 5 and class 6, doing class 5 maintenance on a class 6 road, I know that came up at the last meeting as far as that we're doing that already. Some were going up, we always go a little better than whatever the standard is, and that can get you in trouble, like you're talking about here. But Peter, can you help out here at all?
Through you, Mayor Martin. Yes, the review will probably start this year with the roads needs study for 2025. And that we will be doing traffic counts and so forth too. I'd like to add though, with the original bylaw that is in place that the roads department is working off, we do super exceed what is there now for plowing. As an example, in previous, before I was in this position, Sandy Lake Road was not even plowed or regularly maintained into Tongmont. So that's an added bonus above and beyond the bylaw that's existing. And if there's a snowstorm coming and there's already 3 inches, we're not technically bylaw. You're not supposed to be able plowing it until there's 6 inches or above. So, but if we foresee a storm coming, we'll come and, take the 3 inches off and, so we don't, hopefully you don't exceed that 6 inches, but with the extreme weather, it's hard to predict exactly, but yeah, we do try to exceed the existing bylaw. So that adds any clarification or not.
So the process will be starting this year. It is quite a process to go through, but I'll open up to council if you got any questions or comments for Bill. So go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, just to echo the mayor's comments. I think we talked about it last meeting. I know we've had discussions among the council members and even with the staff about not just your road. There's a number of roads, as the mayor alluded to, in terms of the building that's gone on here over the past 5 to 10 years. A lot of these roads that didn't have a lot of cottages on them now have homes on them, right, where people are living year round. So it's something that council has noticed and we're addressing. And as Pete said, hopefully within the next 6 to 12 months, we can develop a plan to, come up with a new plan for service levels on some of these roads. So hopefully that's makes you feel a little bit better.
Well, it's challenging when you see the first 2.9 kilometers or 3.7 kilometers is like a highway, and then you come to the Tangamon turn and now there's 4 inches of snow from there through, and then people drive through and there's ruts, and then it freezes, and there's more ruts, and then it's harder on your vehicle. It's harder to get in for emergency, is for
I completely understand. I have relatives that live at the end of Tongmont Road, so I hear about the shape it's in quite often. So I know where you're coming from. So thank you very much.
So I invite all councillors that haven't been in the North Country where we're beautiful up here to travel our Sandy Lake Road to understand where concerns are.
So you think you have challenges now that it's done that way? If we were to say, let's not do it, let's go back to class 6 maintenance, we'll be hung. So I think it's really tough for us too, when you do go above and beyond. So as much as it's nice for, so Councillor Clement, go ahead.
Chairman Martin's Bill, I've driven the road. So from the turn out to County Road 46, how many full-time residents are in there right now at the present time? Because it looks pretty, when you go through there, it doesn't look like a lot of people, but you can't see.
Yeah, on the lake?
Yeah, like on that road.
On the 83 or on Sandy Lake?
On Sandy Lake. I went from the turn out to the corner.
I couldn't tell you how many full-time residents are along that road.
Yeah.
You would probably know better from your.
Yeah, I'm sure that was one part I didn't look up.
Yeah.
It is pretty narrow. I do know. Took a very slow drive through there. I did great. Now, we wouldn't be able to get a tandem through there, but Peter, what do we use right now?
Through you, Mayor Martin, we use our grader.
Okay.
Yes, and that's with the teeth, so it gives you, as the bylaw states, there's no sand to be applied to the limited maintenance roads, so that's why we like the grader. Another reason for the grader is to, this has the teeth and, scarifies the road and gives you some traction and has the down pressure to get off some of the ice and the ruts that you speak of.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Any other questions, comments? All right then, so moving forward, it's the process is going to begin this year. I think your letter will be put into the file as far as, you're not the only one, there's other roads that are talking about it, so I'm sure this will come into play as we move through this, so. I don't think there'll be anything happening overnight, like I don't think you'll see a grader going through there tomorrow, but.
There was one on Thursday.
Okay, well, there you go. Maybe they heard you last week. So, but if, you know, so we are looking at it and we do have lots of challenges, like you said, but that's part of the 5-year turnaround here. There will be lots of changes happen as we move forward. So that's about all we can say for today. But I do appreciate you coming out and letting us know what you're seeing.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Look forward.
So I'll look for a motion to receive the delegation. Moved by Councilor Doherty. Councilor Clement, all in favor? That's carried. Great, thank you. On here is staff reports for information. We have 2 reports here, one from Travis and one from Josh. Any questions with regards to those reports? The activity report for the building official and the carbon up and rack questions. Open to receive the report information. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconder. Councilor Clement.
Oh.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Yeah, sorry, just a question
Yeah.
quickly, sorry. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I get travel, everybody else has left you, so you're the only one. The development fees. Just noticed they're down compared to last year.
Yes, it's through you, Mr. Mayor. The development fees are only applicable to new homes on vacant lots, so that's the reason we wouldn't have issued. We would have issued more new homes in January 2023 than 2024.
Yeah, it's just they're building less obviously this year than last year.
In January.
Slowing down, yeah.
For new lots, that is.
No, I understand. I know everything's kind of slowing down.
There's still lots of building going on.
Oh, no.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, still standing this.
Thank you, Travis.
Any other questions? Move in seconder, all in favor? That's carried. Next item is staff reports with follow-up action. Travis, you're back on with regards to an amendment to bylaw number 2023-017.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as council's aware, we passed the building bylaw in 2023, and in that bylaw, we added a renewal fee for outstanding permits over 2 years. We'd just like to add the definition for renewal fees, just to make it clear that it's for renewals and we're not revoking permits. So the purpose of the report is to present council with the revision with respect to the renewal fee definition. And the definition itself reads as renewal of permit means the fee administered when a building permit remains open and is 2 years past the date of issuance. So it's staff's recommendation, council approve the amendment to bylaw 2023-17 for the addition of the definition of renewal of permit.
Travis? Councilor thoughts? What do you want to move it?
Pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Okay, moved by Councilor Clement. Got a seconder for that? Seconder? Questions, comments on that and further clarification? All in favor? And that's it. Thank you. Next item here is Josh, Parks and Rec Supervisor. With regard to the fire and ice banners.
Good morning, Mayor Martin. Oh. Good morning, Mayor Martin and all council. The purpose of this 2-part report is to, 1, approve the transfer of $1,582 from council initiatives to pay for the installation of the Fire and Ice Festival promotional banners. And 2, staff is seeking approval to change the current light and banner schedule to include the new banners and to ensure the schedule is efficient.
All right, we do a number of changes throughout the year, and the fire and ice ones were new this year and came in kind of late, but anyway, so there is a recommendation here. I'll open up to council.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this is the banners, it covers 3 areas, Josh. So is the 1,582 for all 3?
Through you, Mayor Martin, these are the installation of the 14 fire and ice banners that are just down along Highway 7 and one across from Tim Hortons.
A follow-up, if I may. So the 15 was for the fire and ice. The other 2 are just establishing when they're going to be done. Is that what we're doing? Getting clarity to that, Josh?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Councilor Doherty's moving it.
Oh. Yeah, just a question through Mr. Mayor, for clarification, the summertime banners, Josh, is that shop local or do we have, how many banners do we have?
We have 24 and they alternate the train and the lake scenery.
Oh, I just, in terms of the summertime banners, is that our summertime banners, the shop local ones or?
Oh, I apologize. Through you, Mayor Martin, the shop local, they go up for the they go up when the Christmas lights go up for the promoting the shop local for Christmas for the local businesses. So during the summertime, we have the train and the scenic.
Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome.
You want to second that?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. Any questions? All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Okay, the next item here on the agenda is the George Street reconstruction and storm sewer pipe. Peter?
Yes, good morning, Mayor Martin, members of council. The purpose of this report is to seek council's approval for the transfer of ownership of the oversized storm sewer pipe from Peterborough County to Havelock-Belmont-Methuen Township. The council approved the transfer for the new oversized storm in phases 1A, Quebec Street, from Ontario to George, and phases 1B, George Street from Quebec Street down to the community center entrance.
Okay. All right, and so it's all explained on there with council's thoughts. Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
Question to you, Peter. So the county owns that now, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so they're gonna transfer it over to us now. Or not when we start. When's the actual transfer going to take place?
Through your Mayor Martin. Yeah, so it will transfer now, and then it will become our asset going through the construction phases too.
And if the construction phase gets put off for 7 years, so we're gonna own it for the 7 years until they get construction started, like, are we sure it's going to actually start in 2024?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. Yes, the tender is almost public knowledge for tender now. So it's we're just doing some final tweaking, for lack of better words, on the tender, and it'll be posted out very shortly.
I just have some difficulty doing it now without some concrete times. That's my.
Okay, so yeah, so this was one thing that to start this year needs to go through. So Deputy Mayor Webb.
Yeah, first through, just for clarification, on here it says it's going to, I don't know if I'm looking at phase 2, but the super pipe out, like this super pipe or whatever we're calling it, how far does it go, Pete?
Through you, Mayor Martin. So it will go the entire length of George Street, right to down to William when we get into the second phase. But for now, the phase 1B will stop at the entrance of the community center and tie into the existing storm south of the entrance, and then down through across Highway 7 in that section of the original backyard system. So we're deleting, or that section from that we can't access.
No, I know it'll take us a lot of work in terms of the backyards and easements and whatnot. So if we're stopping at the rink entrance, but the pipe's gonna run to William Street, I mean, are they just gonna wait and install the last part of the pipe in phase 2 or?
Yes, so through you, Mayor Martin, so it'll go to the entrance of the rink now, tie into the existing, and then go south down towards 7 through, I think it's 5 private properties. And then when we get into the second phase, like the finish from George Street to Mary Street, as the plan states, it'll then delete those 5 properties, and it'll go down, the main pipe will go down William Street to Highway 7 and then cross.
So. To me, I'm not an engineer and I'm not a street builder, but I mean, if you're putting in a pipe like that, would you not go to, I'd figure you go to William Street and you wouldn't cut it off at the. And that's all I'm getting at, is this kind of a way we can push the county into get moving on phase 2?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, exactly is why it's stopping at Matheson, or I call Matheson, but the arena entrance is because of budget reasons. That's, or otherwise we would have taken it to William and then down William. And then that would, resolve all of the backyard issue, storm drain issues, but right as a budgets and both township and county, I mean, this is as far as we could go at this point. So the second phase, when we get there, we'll be going down William Street with it.
So the second phase discussion is on right now and looking at the grants and things. So I think you're right. If I'm sure that the phase 2, I think everybody's hearing the same thing as far as it's, we don't want to stop at phase 1. Let's get phase 2 done too. So I think they'll do that.
Further to Councillor Doherty's point. If they did do phase 1 and we didn't, but there was a holdup on phase 2 and all of a sudden this is an asset we've assumed, right?
Yeah.
Then I don't think the county would play that game, hopefully not over there, but
No.
but they could say, that's our bill.
Yeah.
It's your asset, and so it'd be nice to get some of these things tied up and.
Yeah.
All right, before we move ahead.
Okay. So, yeah, and for this right now, yeah, that's a good point, but so when they do the engineering, it's like as far as going off to through the backyard where we do right now. This is critical to get this in to get moving on phase 1, so if we don't do this, we probably can't do phase 1 even right now, so I know it sounds like a gamble. But I think with what I'm hearing with phase 2, like we're already working on applications for grants and things like that. I'm sure this will be tied in with it. To move forward. Go ahead.
Going in with the phase 2, I'm thinking because it goes to William, that's gonna be the pipe that runs it, is it gonna be the one we're gonna have to fix underneath the railroad tracks?
Through you, Mayor Martin, so phase 2, or the second phase,
Yeah.
it'll go right from the arena entrance right to Mary Street and then down to the intersection at Mary and Ottawa Street. And then the oversized pipe will go down William. And then one of the reasons they're talking about a retention pond on the south side possibly, until we can get under the railway it enlarged for capacity, and the oversized pipe in George Street is another reason why it's oversized, is to use as capacity, so it can have time to put underneath the railway system culvert. So in time, it'll be addressed, but the oversized pipe and maybe a small retention pond to get the water to go.
So the pipe running under the railroad, is that our asset or is that a county asset? I'm just saying in terms of who should be contacting the railroad, and have we or have they?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, there has been discussions. The county has actually fronted that for us, but we are in contact with,
It's the rail.
have been, but it is a railway asset, yes.
It's the rail, it's in charge of that pipe.
Okay, but sorry, through you then, have we made them aware that this needs to be changed and there's a time frame to it, so this isn't, okay, because I know sometimes the rail can move
Yeah.
slowly, so.
That's what we dealt with last term, is they don't necessarily want to do anything with it, so. So that's why they supersized this pipe to try and give it some more
Yep.
space for the water, but otherwise we would have probably had to supersize it. It's that, like you're talking about, the railway problem there is the railway,
Sorry.
so. Counselor Doherty, you had a question?
Here's, I'm a little confused. So we own the asset, the county's approaching the railway to have it. Wonder is, I'm understanding that part first.
So through you, Mayor Myers, so it's been, they've taken the lead on like all the approvals, like for planning, for design. So they have taken the lead on the storm and dealing with the county as well as the engineering too. So, but they've taken the lead on contacting for the railway.
So the asset belongs to us and they're taking the lead on, is that, who owns the asset now? Is it the county or the township?
So through you, Mayor Myers, so in George Street right now.
In George, I understand. It's just going down to Williams and going under the railroad. That's.
Under the railroad, the culvert under the railway is the CPR. It is the railways.
Okay.
Yeah.
To it, from George down to it, who owns that?
So through you, Mayor, that's on William Street and that is ours. That is the HPM's.
George Street is the county and William Street is ours. But they've been working on.
The other thing is the 5 properties we're going to be adding more to. Is that going to cause any more water or is it just?
No, through you, Mayor Martin.
Still at what we're doing now.
It'll stay the same and be less because we were having an oversized pipe in George Street. So it'll reduce, it'll help slow it down to make it easier.
So it's not, no added.
No, nothing's being added.
And if I may, one more question. What does that do to our capacity at our sewer plant? Because it says we're going to have less infiltration and so on. Is that going to improve our capacity?
Yes, through you, Mayor.
And because we're going to be giving some numbers there for.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin, that's since it is right now a county asset. So we had discussions with the county in our meetings, and if it's we're wanting the residents and the business owners to apply their sump pumps to the storm to take it away from, because right now assuming that the sump pumps have to go somewhere and the only thing they have to drain into is the sanitary sewer. So that's in the report as well, but that will definitely decrease the inflow and infiltration in our sanitary sewer, which is going to decrease and give us more capacity at the sewage waste water treatment plant. Like
that's pretty critical. Looking at when the expansion is going to be done and adding to the lot. I still have a concern of not have definitive numbers, definitive dates when we're transferring an asset, but maybe we just can't get those. Thank you.
Oh, okay, so, and that's the thing, like we did it on Union Street as far as putting laterals in for sewers, but we didn't finish up with making a program that would encourage people to connect to them. So on George Street, it would be good if we go this route, that we come up with a program to encourage people to hook up to them, because there is a cost for the property owner to hook up to these laterals that go into the sewer pipe. That would be something I would suggest that we follow up on later. But to get phase 1 going now, I know there's a gamble here and, but not, I really feel confident that phase 2 is in the works right now and that we'll be able to include it into the whole picture here, because I don't think they'll want to do that work to go through the backyard. If there's a possibility of the next phase is coming anyways, they'll continue with it too.
Yeah, 3 to Mayor. So the tender was originally planned to go out on Friday the 16th, but with some small and minor adjustments to the tender. So that's how close it is. So it's very close to having the tender go out for the, and we're hoping to keep the same date as May 1st for reconstruction to start. So.
Okay. All right, so this is another piece of the puzzle. So with council's thought here on report. Okay. Deputy Mayor Webb.
You sort of to get into I just moved the recommendation, I guess. Trying to find if that's supposed to do.
Recommendation with site storm sewer on page 1. Quebec, Ontario, George Street, 1B George Street, Matheson. So move the recommendation. Okay, seconded. Okay, Councillor Clement is seconding it. Any other questions around the motion? All in favor? And that's carries. You. Our next item here. Correspondence action item, and with regards to the combined conference, so years ago, Roma and Good Road were together. And ever since they've separated, people would like to see them together still. Well, and it does make it convenient, but so this is from which township this is from,
Petroleum.
Petrolia. So what they're looking for is support that it returns, for what it's worth, to return back to Roma and Good Roads together. I'm not sure. It's I just tried to get a room down there and they're full up, and that's what used to happen when they were together. So as much as I like to see them together, it was pretty crowded when they were together, and it was hard to get into them. But that being said, maybe there'll be some more hotels open up, because right now it's full. There is no room to get on there if you wanted to go. So anyways, so motion to support or just motion to receive?
Motion to receive.
Okay, motion to receive, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, next item, correspondence for information. One thing I would suggest on the information there is the boundary letter from Mr. Maybe, that maybe if he added to an agenda that's being prepared to meet with North Kawartha, it would be a good discussion piece to Ambrose Moran's letter that came out a couple of weeks ago. So moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Clement. Questions?
Yeah, what is the motion?
That we add this to the package that preparing for the joint meeting with North Kawartha.
But the
The boundary.
boundary.
Oh, I know what's about.
Okay, so
Thanks.
Okay, all in favor? And that's carried. Right, next item, or no, so about a motion to receive the balance of the correspondence, if there's no other questions, right to what there. By Councillor Clement, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? That's carried. Okay.
What report are we doing? We're doing them all at once? Is that what you?
Yeah, motion to receive the balance.
Okay, I had a question on.
Okay, go ahead. We're not too far past it if you wanted to. Go ahead.
Excuse me, what did I?
We're not too far, we're not past it yet. We passed it, but you can speak to it if you like.
Thanks. No, I was just curious as to the meeting of the library when the homeschool. Is that a term?
You're in, what's that? Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Are they part of the correspondence or? are they-
Sorry, through you, Mayor Martin, just to clarify, the last motion was to receive all the correspondence items.
Just the balance of the correspondence.
We're now moving to.
Oh, okay, sorry, my
Yeah.
apologies. I was moving here.
Okay. Councillor Flagler, you had a question?
Yes, I'm just kind of curious on why we're grouping everything together. The whole meeting has went that way. I don't understand that process.
Well, the
If these
correspondence-
items come up,
No, I
they should
asked,
be addressed separately, not all together.
and they will be.
It's too confusing when you're doing all together.
Well, I asked if there was any questions around correspondence for
And you know
information.
what? I put my hand up a couple of times.
Well, I
and
didn't
you
see it, so
ignored
speak up
me,
if I'm not-
And I don't even get my question out there. So I sit and I go through.
I
the
am
whole
not
meeting.
ignoring you. If you have a question, speak up. Speak up, which, so there's two
I
things
will
left
speak
there.
up next time. Thank you.
There's two things left there. There's one with the minutes from, just trying to catch up here,
conference.
yeah. There's,
Yes, I understood the whole thing.
so if you had something to say, that's what I asked. If anybody would like to speak, speak now. If not, I'll take a motion to receive the balance. So, okay, so next is liaison reports. And or we had a written notice of motion there. I don't have any written notice of motion. Was there any oral notice of motion?
No.
Wait a minute, if I jumped over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Liaison reports, county
Probably
council.
off here.
County council.
Yeah. So that's you, or, yeah, we're in liaison reports.
So yeah, county council, kind of short meeting that were, day after the last meeting. We, I guess it was preliminary. Budget numbers come out, so I think it was, the levy was 6.6%. The county. Originally, our meeting tomorrow will be, I guess, will be the final vote. I'll just run through a couple things here. We have a finance committee that actually worked on it. They put forth, I believe, 5 recommendations in terms of ways to lower the tax rate from 6.6. So I'll just run through them quickly. So one was efficiency target of 850,000. I think we county did that last year. I think the number had changed, but basically that's getting efficiencies of your staff and hiring and things like that. So the other 725,000 for employee post-retirement benefit reserve. They looked at taking 136,000 from the cannabis funding to put that towards the tax rate. Also, there's what's called the LSR, Local Services Realignment Reserve. Could be drawn down by almost 1.2 million. Or and what else do we have here? Landfill post-closure contribution to reserves could be decreased by 130,000. And the Peterborough County City Paramedics budget be increased by 300,000. So I think we worked through each one of those one by one, and all of them were defeated. So at the moment, you're looking at probably a north of 6% tax rate to come out of the county. So that's your county update for this week.
Okay, Councilor Doherty.
Question, does that include the surcharge or the added on fee that did for a while? So it's 6.6 plus the 2?
No, sorry. Thank you for clarifying that. No, so there's a 2.5% asset management. So basically that's where you're gonna start off at the county. Like they put in that, you guys started that last year, I believe. 3 years ago, before I got there anyways. So you're basically starting off at 2.5. So I mean, hopefully we're gonna get it somewhere around 6. So if we got a 6, really you'd have your 2.5 plus your 3.5. So really your rate would be 3.5, but you're always gonna have that 2.5 to start off with. That's about as clear as mud. I know that.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's
but that's why, you know, you're getting up into your 5, 6, and 7 ranges, because you're basically starting off at almost 3, right? 2.5 to 3 before you start to count.
Yeah, no, I'm not. If I can do a follow-up question.
And just to let everybody know, that's probably gonna end up here, right? Like, I don't know if we'd be at a 2.5, but I mean, in terms of asset management and stuff, you know, eventually it's gonna hit all the townships, I believe, because, you know, we just can't keep going to the taxpayer. You're after lose money. We're gonna have to find creative ways to bring it in. So,
To follow up. Did I understand that there was an $850,000 savings for staff? You was recommended, or I lost a little bit.
what they call is an efficiency target.
Okay, but did
So,
they
yeah.
not do a work review of the everything in the county, and they were going to get some cost savings? Are these the byproducts of that review? You know, or a chance?
That's unclear at the moment. Let me look into that a little further, and I can dig into that, but yeah.
Well, I just, if we did,
well, just to that point, I don't really know.
Yeah.
And I have other discussions with staff, so I don't want to comment, but there was a comment made at the meeting the other day that they thought that most of the money that we got for this efficiency target last year was used from basically the income off our investments. Which as the member who made the comment said, that's not really an efficiency saving that, you know, but I'm saying in terms of that. So in terms of the real number, I don't know. I'll have to talk to staff and try and get that number for you, Councilor Gordy.
yeah, no, I'm just trying to get some equation to the efficiency, because we had it on our budget, we decreased it because it was fairly costly. And I don't know what it costs the county, but if if they produced a report to get efficiency and we're gonna take the efficiencies out of the budget, I have a disconnect there, but yeah, I can maybe you can get back to me on that. Would be great. Thank you.
So it was a service delivery review to look for efficiencies, but the efficiencies were not only on finance, they were on the service we deliver and trying to do a better job. So things that came out of it weren't necessarily percentages in as far as numbers. And you're right, I think a lot of stuff came forward that actually probably cost some money. But it was in order to do things more efficiently as far as business. So, but yeah, we can get you more information on that and bring it back to you, Councilor Doherty. So, so moving through the liaison reports here, there's two reports there, one from myself in Crow Valley, and there's a municipal brief in there. And any questions around that? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to receive my activity of the Crow report. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor? Carried. And the next one is with regards to the library board. Councillor Clement's report there from January 18th. Is there any questions? I think there was some questions earlier, but anything, Councillor Doherty, on that?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. No, we're going to do some, going to rent out or have them use the homeschoolers in the basement.
So.
Well, if I can just finish my question, please.
Right.
Is it going to be a term? Is it a one-off? How is it structured, I guess, because we may have some other ideas for there. Anyway, thanks. Sorry, guys.
Okay, through you, Mayor. So let me explain how they're going to do this. It's already started. It isn't just for homeschoolers. It will be open to anyone. Our first session, they had 35 children show up. And a lot of it was because it was a PA day, obviously. It's only for a couple hours. They're doing crafts. It's so the kids can have social interaction. It's been very successful so far, and they're hoping to run it through till June.
So sorry so the answer is we've established it till June of this year.
Yes.
And it'll get reviewed and so on. Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, Councillor Flagler.
Through you, Mayor Martin. That program that they've just started for the homeschooling, why is it ending in June?
So to you, Mr. Mayor, we are going to review it before then. It may continue through the summer. It all depends upon participation, crafts, what they're doing. The lady who's running it is high school teacher. She also has dealt with disabled children. So we're looking into various things. That's why we're going to review it. At this point, we've set June as a firm date that will continue to, but it will be reviewed. Hopefully it goes right through the summer. Right on, continue on.
Thank you. Motion to receive the report. Moved by Councillor Doherty, seconder. Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, so I don't have any written notice of motion. Is there any oral notice of motions for today? Seeing none. Other business. We have one item under other business. And that's International Women's Day event that we spoke about. There's a ticket available to the event included with the sponsorship. So if anybody sorry, what's the check?
The event takes place in Peterborough.
I thought it might be a Toronto.
Okay, so we can leave that for now. If anybody would like to use the ticket, can speak to Bob. We sponsored it. We did it at the last thing. So this is just the ticket that goes with it. So so if anybody's interested in that, speak to Bob, and there is a ticket available for you to attend. So motion to receive that other business. Moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? Carried. Okay. And with that, we move into bylaws. We did take care of some of the go ahead. Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
it's another good comment.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sunday was out in, at the Family Day event in Cordova. Counselor Clement was there as well. Run by the Cordova Rec Association, really nice, really good breakfast we were talking about earlier. Fantastic bacon. I'm gonna have to find out where they got the bacon. And then obviously, so kudos to them, and also the Lions Club ran the town's family day event here yesterday, so they had the pancake breakfast in the morning. Some kind of kid coloring and stuff inside for the kids, and then they had a free, and it was all free, by the way, spaghetti dinner last night. So that was really good too. And then comment on my social life. So Sunday night we went to pub soda dance at the rink run by the Lions Club in coordination, the Lions Club and the Havelock Youth Committee. So thank you very much to all those in the Lions Club, Ken Pierce and Debbie Ollie, the youth committee. I believe they had 34 kids there. So, and exactly, and I got sent home. So I showed up, my kids looked around, there was no other parents there. They said, get out of here. You're not sitting here with us. We're not gold. So that was my first experience with that. I went home, cried a little. Thank you.
Yeah, and it was a craft thing in the afternoon. You could have come on colored with me. I got the color for a couple of hours. Yeah, so no, it was good. Nice to see them. It's not a good thing. And it was well attended. So, okay. All right, so we're moving into bylaws, and there's one bylaw left here, bylaw 2024-18, being a bylaw to adopt the estimate for 2024, establish and adopt tax rates, and provide for minimum tax. So moved by Deputy Mayor Webb. Seconder. For the last bylaw there, 2024-18, regards to the budget.
Oh, tax.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor? Or you want, sorry, question, sorry. Your hand there.
And nowhere in this bylaw does it state what the percentage is. Is that common, uncommon,
Yeah, like,
I don't know what's good actually.
good question.
Mr. Theo.
How about Treasurer Blind?
Through you, Chair, typically for this bylaw, it sets out the rates, it sets out the ratios, and it doesn't necessarily get into the percentage increase. I believe it was either the meeting prior to this one or the one before that we delved into the final tax rate increase and how we got to that point. But this is strictly a housekeeping bylaw to set out the actual rates and the actual tax ratios.
Okay, so did you want to just touch on what the percentages were there, Lionel? If you have in front of you, I don't want to be on the spot, but
Through you, Chair. So the percentage change hasn't changed. So we're looking at the percentage that we had when we were finished our budget deliberations. So for the tax rates, the percentage increase was 4.2. And that's where we left off.
okay.
Yeah, Mr. I didn't have a problem with the number. I know it was 2 or 3 meetings ago we discussed it, but it's not in the bio. I read all the increases in the things, but there was no number. That's the way it's done. I just think it's a little confusing. Thank you.
Okay. All right, then. So I have a mover. You have a second?
Yes, Councillor Clement.
Okay. Any other questions on it? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, with that, we'll move into the confirming bylaw for today's meeting, for the business of today. May want to move the confirming bylaws?
Sure.
Author Doherty. Seconder. Clement, all in favor? That's carried. And a motion to adjourn. Moved by the web, by. All in favor? That's carried.